are at Women at Woodstock 2013 in Berkeley, and one of our presenters for our Friendship and Intimacy workshop is Bobbi Palmer, who has a lot to tell us in that workshop. She is the CEO and founder of Date Like a Grown-Up, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. So first of all, I would just like to thank you for being here.
It's great.
And we are going to have a lot to share with all of our over 50 women tomorrow, having to do with not just friendships among women, and not just finding dates with men, but friendships with men, right?
Yes, and making connections, making real, true connections with men.
Yeah, and that's something I'm glad that we're doing that in our women's conference, because a lot of times when I tell someone I'm doing Women at Woodstock, they say, "Oh, so you're man bashing, right?" No, we're not. We're not at all.
No,
we're about being friends with everybody. So tell me about Date Like a Grown-Up and exactly what it is that you provide.
Well, first of all, what you'll find when you go to my website is about 150 or so articles that help women, mostly who are over 40, learn how to date with a balance of head and heart. So that's the grown-up part, right? It's about taking your 18-year-old girl out of the equation and learning some new skills and some new ways to think of yourself and new ways to think of and connect with men, so that you can have a really joyful, relaxing, and successful relationship and process of meeting men, so that you meet like a really great guy. Right? And
who's
part
right
of
for
it,
you. Yeah.
who's right for you. And it's not this kind of 18-year-old, "Ooh, I get butterflies, so he's for me" stuff. But really, and it really is about skill, because we don't learn that anywhere, right?
Not through the media, not through the women's magazines. No, absolutely not.
And when we're younger, we learn basically, the vast majority of us, we've learned basically do what you need to do to get a guy to like you.
Oh yeah, and if you go back to the songs from the 50s and the 60s, do what he likes to do, learn what he likes to learn, or whatever that stupid
That's
song
right.
is. Yeah, that's how we were raised.
And our value is about who picked us.
Yes.
So I
definitely.
help women learn to be the picker.
Mm-hmm.
I help women really get to know themselves and who they are as 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old women, and get just a fresh, real feeling, and get centered with who they are, and put that woman out to the world, not just to her coworkers, not just to her friends, because we're pretty good at doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of being real everywhere else in our life. But when it comes to men, especially when we're single, there's this kind of like thing that happens to us, right? I don't know, we get scared, we get, all that old stuff comes back. So I help women really get real and be that woman who goes out in the world. And that woman attracts a man who is right for her, right? In the way that he really enhances her life, and he accepts her and adores her the way she is, and he makes her happy.
And that reminds me of the joke that one of my friends used to make, who actually had just gotten divorced years ago. And she said, "I've been going to bars, I've been going to meetings, I've been going to speed dating, and nothing's happened. But I go to the grocery store one day, and I don't have my makeup on, and I'm just doing what I'm doing, and I meet somebody."
Yes.
Because I guess they had an authentic conversation, and
Exactly.
however she was appealed to him, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So you're not a matchmaker, you're about falling in love with yourself, right?
That's right. That's right. So I have a 6-step system that I created actually through my own experience, because I became a first-time bride at 47.
That's so
Cool,
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm just about to celebrate our 7-year anniversary, by the way.
Magic number.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah.
No itching going on at all. No. So my 6-step system, I call it my Find Hope and Then Find Him system.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first step is falling in love with yourself. It has to be what's first. So you get you find that great man, but what has to happen first is sort of that like yummy, comfy, like self-love. And that's the woman who goes to the grocery store, not being in her head,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's just being who she is.
Right.
I hear that so often, Anne.
Yeah.
Oh, I was coming back from the gym and I stopped by to get, a cup of tea, and this man was like talking to me, and I don't understand why. I had my hair back, I didn't have makeup on. The men that we want, the guys that are like our husbands, who are like the real deal and looking for a real woman to have a partnership with, they are so turned on by a woman who's just out there in the world being herself, and they don't feel like they have to guess about her. That when you learn who that woman is and you can take her out with you wherever you go, she is a man magnet. And that's what I help women learn to be.
Do you find, I mean, just having lived as long as you have, not as long as I have, but anyway, do you find that there's, first of all, you have to kind of throw out the 18-year-old, as you said. Is there kind of a weird mix of being, once you've reached a certain age, you're more confident about yourself in some ways, but in other ways, maybe you've talked yourself into the idea that I'll never find anybody, look how old I am, or, I got divorced, nobody's ever going to want me again. It would seem like there's a bigger mountain for you to climb, probably, with your clients.
Yeah, it's a different kind of like insecurity. But here's the thing that's kind of great. So much of that is based on a misperception of what we think men want. Right? So we kind of go out like, I'm too old, my boobs are too saggy, I got too much baggage, I got this 29-year-old kid at home who will never leave, And this, like, I'm imperfect, therefore no one will want me. And so often that's just based, again, in like the 20-year-olds that you used to meet. So one thing that I do that is so transformational is I really help women understand men and understand the men they're wanting to meet, what they really want and how they really feel, and sort of alleviate that fear, right? That fear that I'm going to be rejected because the things that we believe to be true, that big mountain that we've created for ourselves, it does take some time to get knocked down. But when you do realize that those guys are just dudes,
right. They're actually people.
They're just people.
Who would have thought?
And they're looking for love, and they're imperfect, and they want someone to accept them the way they are. All of a sudden, I was talking to somebody earlier, like when that fear when you kind of get to know them better and that fear kind of dissipates, it's like, wow, like I can breathe. And I also teach them skills on how to talk about themselves. So those things, that stuff, that baggage, that I'm imperfect, there are skills that I teach women on how to present those kind of things as they're getting to know men in a way that you put your best foot forward and you don't like puke everything out on the first date because you're sure that if he learns this, he's going to not like you, right? So you go, look, I got this thing and I know he's going to like not choose me, so I might as well just
get it out there. Yeah. All the horrible stuff.
All the bad stuff, right? So, we think we're protecting ourselves doing that. It's
we're just shooting ourselves.
Yeah, but again, it's the great thing is it's like knowledge about men, skills about how to connect with them, and how to present yourself. It's not about being fake, it's about really helping women be real.
Yeah, exactly so. Yeah. And I love that because you can get all the advice in the world about your hair, your face, your whatever.
Yep.
But not so much about yourself and starting with, like you said, falling in love with yourself and then going from there.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that women can go and recite their resume over and over and over in such a confident way, right? When they're going for a job or they're talking, or somebody says, what do? You can, but on a date, when they're sitting in front of a man, especially when they're interested in, the idea of talking about oneself can be so scary to women because we're taught we don't do that, right? It's about him, it's about him. Yeah, these guys, they want to know about you, right?
Yeah.
And you need to be able to do that.
Right, and maybe be aware of some of the old cultural things that we learned early on, that men don't like women who are smarter than they are or earn more money or whatever, and you have to just get over it, right? Just
it's nonsense.
Find somebody
and
who's
those guys,
not
we don't care about them. To me, they don't exist.
Right.
That's what I tell my clients. If he doesn't like you because you're smart, next.
Yeah, right. Because exactly.
Yeah.
Why would
There's
you want him to?
100,000 more that will.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me about a couple of stories from some of your clients. Got to have some good ones.
I have, I've just got some women who've done amazing work. A couple of them, one, a lot of what kind of the skills and kind of talk that I help women with, it's really about bringing out our feminine side. That's that side of us that can recite our resume and talk about what we do so well is that kind of masculine. That's what makes us successful in that part of the world. So I have a client, her name's Janine, and she is an attorney, and she specializes in, she's a prosecutor, and she specializes in homicide and child rape cases.
That's fun
Yeah.
stuff, like
She's
conversation.
very feminine,
Yeah.
very feminine. And she's good and she's tough. And 46, she came to me at 46 because she wanted to get married before I did. She'd never been married. She's like,
That's
you're
her goal.
47. I want to do it before 47. Anyway, she's getting married in March. I'm performing her wedding. Which
Really?
Is, yeah, it's so amazing. She's getting married, and she's also not a skinny girl. She's, as she puts it, she's fluffy. She calls it, and she talks about, who would have thought a fluffy, hard-ass prosecutor would find this like really nice guy, and this man loves and adores her and brings out every wonderful part of her. And again, so she'll become a first-time bride at 49. No, 48.
48.
Yeah, I gotta be. So that's like an example, and it was about really her, again, getting to know herself and taking the time to look at herself differently.
And integrate the two things about herself, her job, her intelligence,
Yeah.
and her
He loves her.
femininity.
He loves, it's just like my husband, and probably yours too. They love that we're smart. They love that we're accomplished, and they also love that we're sweet and we giggle and we love cuddling. Right? You know, it's like the whole deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like real human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a concept,
Yeah.
Bobbi.
Yeah, yeah. And sort of being open, and that's what Janine really had to learn in a big way, about just being okay with being who she was. And I have another client who actually, this is a story of a woman who just broke up with a guy, and she's so happy. So the end result isn't always find the guy. I mean, ultimately, that's what I want to help women do, is find really fantastic love.
Mm-hmm.
But that self-love stuff and that sort of power and that comes with learning about yourself and knowing what you want and how to get it. So this woman, she's divorced. She's had a bad past with men. She's got abuse in her past, and she's made some really bad choices and stayed with men that did not treat her well. So she just last week broke up with this guy she'd been with for 5 months. Really nice man, treated her very nicely, but just wasn't the one.
Mm.
And so I tell her, once you go nice, you never go back, right? So he may not have been the one, but she won't go back to the jerks anymore. And she ended it with him, and she feels so good about herself that she met this nice guy, attracted this nice guy, had this good relationship, learned a ton, and took care of herself and said, I'm sorry, this just isn't working.
And kept listening to her own feelings, yeah.
And feels great.
That is a success story, too.
That's a success story. I think it's a great success, yeah.
Well, give the people who are watching this your website, your URL.
Okay, so datelikeagrownup.com.
Mm-hmm. Easy to remember.
Easy to remember. And yeah, so if you go there, there's, I have, like I said, just a ton of articles.
Yeah, lots of goodies on there.
Yeah,
Free.
lots of goodies. And I also offer private coaching and telecourses and all different, and webcasts, and I want to reach as many women as I can all over the world. So I work
Yeah.
with women all over the world.
Yeah, I like that you're really using technology, but, reaching people personally. You're not canning stuff and putting it up there. You're having live webinars
Yep.
and interactions with people who want to be with you online or on Skype or whatever
Yeah.
it is that they like to use.
Yeah.
So datelikeagrownup.com.
That's right.
Bobbi Palmer, thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetie.